I received an email yesterday that I have to address. Because it highlights a trend that is common amongst new learners to the solution-focused approach. Now, the question was, does solution-focused brief therapy work with Christian couples? And I thought about that for a long time. I thought, what would make someone ask that? Now, I'm not criticizing the question asker. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the question even necessarily, but I do want to point this out. Because solution-focused brief therapy requires such a paradigm shift than other approaches, new learners start taking a fear-based thought process about that paradigm shift. And you start hearing, like, we focus on outcomes and we ask about exceptions and we talk about strengths. And you start hearing, so when does this not work? And then you start thinking of scenarios where it wouldn't work. And it causes you to say, so how does this work with? And in almost every lecture I've ever done, I clearly say solution-focused brief therapy works the exact same way with each client, because it's not dependent upon the problem the client brought to therapy or the circumstances that brought the client into therapy. I'm still gonna ask about outcomes. I'm still gonna do a description of the presence of those outcomes, and I'm still gonna talk to my client as if they have resources. But people still ask these questions like, does this work? And the way I responded to this person, respectfully, again, I have no criticism or anything. I just want you guys to get it. And I wanna say, like, what would make you think it wouldn't work with Christian couples? And the answer to that is your fear and your anxiety. Solution-focused brief therapy, of course it would work with Christian couples. I mean, what therapy approach would be able to exist in this field if it didn't work with Christian couples? That's such a large faction of Earth. Imagine this. If I told you that there was a vaccine for this pandemic, but it didn't work with Christian couples, how successful do you think that vaccine would be? How successful as a countermeasure to this pandemic would that be? So it's the same. So I want you guys to ask yourselves, before you ask those questions, ask yourself, why wouldn't it work? And remind yourself, Elliot and just about every other solution-focused therapist out there is telling us that we do the same thing regardless of the problem or the circumstances that brought the client into our offices. So just remember, why wouldn't it work? Of course it works. Of course it works. And you've got to believe in it in order for that to be true. Now, one of the reasons I created these videos, one of the reasons I do the work that I do, that I write the books that I write, and I teach the way that I teach, is I want you to get that this approach works. But in order to do that, you have to overcome your fear and stop looking for exceptions to that it works, and just accept the reality that it works. We have the science to back that up. We have the subjective to back that up. The approach works, and it's time you start believing it.